Because it's Mother's Day, we have a little tradition here that we do. So first of all, we would like to ask everyone who is a mother, or if you do mothering work, you put that mothering energy into the world, if you would please stand and let us love you and acknowledge you and just say, yeah, for you. Yeah. All right. So now where the rubber meets the road. Come here. I need help. Can you come up here? All right. So this is one of our Prac 1 students. Do you all know Mari? Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to ask is we're going to ask the mothers all to stand again. And we're going to move out into the aisles. So make sure everybody can get to them. And mothers, you don't have to do anything. This is just us doing something for you. And so it's this. If I say, if I or your children have ever done anything to hurt you or offend you, please forgive them and please forgive me. That's it. You got it? Yep. Simple, powerful, it works. So mothers, if you will stand, let us get a look at you again. So we probably need some more lights so we can get to these people. And so we're going to turn around, we're going to get to you. And so take the hands of someone and say, if I or your children have ever done anything to hurt you or offend you, please forgive them and please forgive me. I thought because it was Mother's Day, we would start with the original mother, Eve, in the garden. And so in the center of the Garden of Eden, there is what is known as the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so God tells Adam and Eve to enjoy the garden. Enjoy everything in the garden. You have dominion over everything in the garden. Life is hunky-dory. It's all good. All of your needs will be met. But just don't go near this one tree. One tree. Big garden. Lots of trees. One tree. Don't go near this tree. Because the tree has fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And God says, in the day you eat that, surely you shall die. So this all takes place in the 3rd chapter of Genesis. I want to share a different idea today about this, because traditionally it's held that Adam and Eve, they disobeyed God and they're driven from the Garden of Eden. Well, yes, but what I think this is about, there are a couple levels. I think one is that we have, and because remember, everybody in the Bible is inside of us, right? It's all taking place in us, that we have time and again lost our awareness of our divine heritage. In the early part of the Bible, there'll be the story of the fall of man, Cain and Abel, Noah and the flood, and the Tower of Babel. And these are all different ways to talk about how we have lost our awareness of our divine heritage. So here we are, living our life, and we're functioning what we believe is apart from God. And the whole spiritual journey is to try to get back to an awareness of our oneness with God. So so I know what people always ask, why if we were made in the image and likeness of God, should we know any kind of limitation? Why are we allowed to make a bad choice there or do something that's not in our highest and greatest good? So I'll just share a little bit with you from Genesis here. It says, and the man called his wife's name Eve. Eve because she was the mother of all living. And so, yes, Adam and Eve, they disobeyed God. And in the garden, they had everything that they needed or desired. And all they're told is don't eat from one tree. So, enter the serpent. And the serpent says, oh, go ahead. Eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God doesn't want you to do that, because if you eat from that, you'll become like God. You'll become a God. Your eyes will be opened. He says, surely you will not die, implying that God doesn't really mean what God says. He says, that you can break his law and not suffer consequences. Right? So Eve does. The fruit looks good. She does. She gives some to Adam. And as they say in the business, all hell breaks loose, okay? Because up until now, everything is paradise, right? And by paradise, what we mean is that This allegory is about how life was all unity, it was all oneness, there was no duality, there was no sense of separation at all. So for years, people have really accused Eve unfairly, I believe, because people say, well, why does God let us experience these difficulties? What Eve did for the consciousness of humanity was set it off on a road to healing. Because up until that point, there's really no free will, because everything's good, everything's just fine, okay? But when Eve eats the fruit, she makes a choice, and that choice is what allows humanity to grow and evolve and unfold spiritually. And so she set us on that path, and that's a good thing, because otherwise we would have all just been like puppets in the garden. Right? So Eve's choice puts humanity on its evolutionary spiritual journey. Because up until then, humanity was essentially, all two of them, were stagnant. We're stagnant, no growth, no evolution. So like I said, they were practically puppets. So from Eve, we are now on a path of self-discovery, a path of our own spiritual evolution because she ate that fruit. We have free will and choice. We get to decide to listen to that inner voice or to not listen to the inner voice. We can choose to evolve, we can choose to grow, we can choose to heal. Now, let's be clear. In the Science of Mind teaching, we believe that God did not create anything evil. God did not create anything bad. You know, elsewhere in the scriptures it says everything that God created was good. Everything that God created was good. And we say, well, what about the stuff that's not good? God didn't create that. We did. Sorry. Right? That God cannot be the author of good and the author of evil. God is exclusively the author of good. So evil was created through humans' pride and disobedience and desire for power. Oh my God, the story never changes. Man was created with free will, though, and the ability to choose good or to choose evil. So now, only an individual that has an I am, an awareness of individual identity, only an I am can choose. A group cannot. Right? This is why we say, you can't legislate love and compassion in the world. Only individuals who are awake and aware enough can choose to be loving, to be compassionate in the world. So only an individual can choose to heal, an individual can choose to grow, only an individual can choose to take the high road and evolve. To love, to forgive, to be grateful. That takes some developed consciousness. And so we can thank Eve for getting us on the path. See, because it's our humanity's disobedience to the divine law that's the underlying cause of our suffering. Ernest Holmes talks about this in our textbook. He says, if you're suffering, it's because you've infringed on some divine law. You're not working in cooperation with the law, you're working against it. And there's no punishment here. There are just consequences for breaking a spiritual law. So God has provided all good for us. That's foundational to our teaching. God has provided all good. And so when the I am, that part of us that knows that we are connected to God, that part of us that's waking up, that hungers for a greater experience of life, that seeks healing, that seeks love, that seeks good, when that I am assumes mastery over the soul, it brings forth only good. So because we have an I am, if you're here, you have an I am presence within you, a developed consciousness. And so we can make a choice for healing. We can make a choice for our own growth. So because it's Mother's Day, I'll use this as a good example, I think, of how we proceed. So it starts with forgiveness. So I would say, now you can do this with anybody, but because it's Mother's Day, we'll do this for the universal mother everywhere, that I forgive my mother for all that she has done. So forgiveness is the alpha. We begin with forgiveness, okay? And then what happens is that evolves over time. I promise you, if you do this consistently with anyone, I forgive my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my neighbor, my boss, my ex, whoever it is, whoever the face is for you. Say, I forgive them for all that they have done. And say, well, then what? And I say, I love her as I love myself. God is the love that I am. Do you see that? So I forgive my mother for all that she has done. I love her as I love myself. God is the love that I am. And so then you work with that for a while, okay? And then what will happen is that will morph into, you'll say, you know what, I think I'm forgiven. I don't have any energy there. I don't have anything but love in my heart for my mother or my boss or whoever. Then what it evolves into is I am grateful to my mother for all that she has done. I love her as I love myself. God is the love that I am. So when you get to that place, you're rounding third base, heading toward home plate. Healing is really close. You're getting really, really close, okay? Because forgiveness is the alpha and gratitude is the omega of love. So it starts with forgiveness, and then you make some progress with that, and then you say, oh, you know, I don't hold those feelings toward anybody that I'm working with anymore. And so this is how we get free. This is how we get untangled from that morass of all that stuff that seems to hold us back. So you start with, I forgive my person for all that they have done. It's three parts. I forgive my mother for all that she has done. I love her as I love myself. God is the love that I am. And what that evolves into is, I am grateful to my mother. So how can I be grateful? You're grateful because this was all an opportunity for your growth. This was all an opportunity for your healing. This was all an opportunity for your personal enlightenment. This happened for you to be spiritually bigger than whatever's happened. You know? So forgiveness and gratitude are the alpha and the omega. So I feel like before I pray, we should say this little thing together. So I know you have it and you can practice with it. So repeat after me, and we'll say mother just because it's Mother's Day, okay? And we should let them off the hook completely, okay? I forgive my mother for all that she has done.
I forgive my mother for all that she has done.
I love her as I love myself.
I love her as I love myself.
God is the love that I am.
God is the love that I am.
I am grateful to my mother for all that she has done.
I am grateful to my mother for all that she has done.
I love her as I love myself.
I love her as I love myself.
God's the love that I am.
God's the love that I am.
Let's pray. So we turn our attention inward now for a moment to just remember this deep spiritual truth that we are one with God. It could not be any other way. That God within is the most true, most real thing about each and every one of us. And so in this awareness, I speak the word for us today that each and every one of us now, we picture our earthly mother in our mind's eye, and we surround her with love and blessings and peace and every good thing. And if there's anything there in the silence of your own heart, just forgive. And when you forgive and move to gratitude. And so now I speak this word for each and every one of us, knowing that we are in the perfect place on our spiritual journey right here, right now. That everyone in our life, that these are the perfect cast of characters for us. And that all of the situations are the right and perfect situations for our own growth and evolution, for our own personal enlightenment. And so we include in our prayer today any other family members and friends that we're thinking of. We hold them high in consciousness. We bless them. We love them. We let our prayer be a blessing in the world around us. So all of those places that look like there's darkness on the planet, we say our prayer is the light. Our prayer is the recognition of God's perfect activity right there, as peace, as healing, as all needs met. We bless our church. We bless all churches everywhere. We bless synagogues and temples and mosques and ashrams, all paths to God. And I know we're blessed by being together, that today everybody gets raised up. And so with a full heart, I give thanks that this is the truth. And I release this word, and so it is. Together we all say, Amen.